have to do anything this afternoon. What I said was that we all go through seasons in our lives and our marriages, and sometimes they're difficult seasons, and you should be especially prayerful during these times. But what I did say is that even though we've been married 30 years, we've had lots of ups, lots of lots of downtimes. Not too many downtimes. I shouldn't say lots of downtimes. Some downtimes, circumstances, parents passing away, things like that cause difficulties in your marriage. But what I said was, through all the seasons, I can honestly say that I love him more now than the day that I married him.
Make sure they get that point. You can actually go on social media, tweet, Facebook, right now, one little permission.
I said this, he didn't know I was going to say this, so
I
he
didn't
really
know that
liked
was
this
even
part. It is true.
It's encouraging to hear.
When you're newlyweds, that's wonderful. Then when you have children, you think that is just the best. And then as your children are growing up and you enjoy them so much, you think, how will we survive without these children in our house? How will it work? How will it be that life will be complete without them in our house? And I really thought that as they were growing up. I was not one of these people that looked forward to all the kids being grown and gone. I had friends and they couldn't wait for their kids to grow up and leave the house. But I was not one of those people, because
But if we had their kids, we would think that way too. But not our kids.
But not ours. So we really enjoyed our children at every season, from the time they were born, from the time I was pregnant with them, and through every stage of life, and all their sports and all their bad sportsmanship. I told a story this morning about that, but anyway, we have enjoyed every season, but I can honestly say I kind of would look at older couples and think, oh, that's going to be so hard when the kids aren't there. But you know what? It's wonderful, because we have tried to build our marriage in a way that would last. And like I said, I can say that I love him more than I ever have. And I think I was telling them this morning that when we go through seasons, I think part of, after being married 30 years, you realize that you both have issues, and you just are going to have issues, and you're not perfect, and you think you've been working on these issues for 30 years, and I guess about the 25-year mark you realize that you're just going to keep having some issues, but you learn to deal with them in a gentler way, and they don't bother you as much. And so things that bothered me a lot when we were married, when we were young and married, they don't bother me at all anymore, because I respect this man and love him more for all the good about him than the things that are not perfect. And so we have learned to live with each other as we are, and accept and love each other as we are. So I encourage you, if you go through difficult times, and you will, I think, because most of us do, I would just encourage you to be especially prayerful, especially, we talked a lot about holding our tongue this morning. Hold your tongue in those times, and don't let those times mark your marriage. Just go through them. You go through the storms. You keep going, and you keep going, and you don't give up. And I wrote this down. Oh, one thing I think that's important is that you keep perspective, and that you don't lose your perspective in the midst of whatever crisis might be happening, or whatever circumstance you don't like, or maybe you just don't like him this month, because that does happen. Sometimes, busy seasons, and we get irritated